Well, hello, and welcome to my little secret hideaway. It's a little clearing in the woods that I've been looking after, and this is where I often come to ground. So, before I start getting into some of the detail, I think there's a fundamental question that we can ask, and that is, what is actual grounding? And I think it's a number of things. It's a process, but there's a kind of an outcome when you are grounded. If you just think of the word, if you describe someone, you say, yeah, they're a very grounded person. And generally that means that they're calm, quite sensible maybe, very level-headed, very kind of like confident and strong in themselves. And that rings true. And I think maybe the word grounded actually comes from, and that sense of being very solid, like the ground. Now, the actual science behind it is relatively straightforward, in that we are, in our kind of essence, a bioelectrical organism. We use electrical signals to transfer and transmit energy and signals within our bodies, and actually to a certain extent outside of our bodies, because as all things, we are fluid movement within containers. There are very minute, albeit, electrical impulses. So we actually do produce a magnetic field, an electromagnetic field. And grounding, as an engineer, I get this. Grounding is the connection between one form of polarized energy, or one energy level, and the ground. So you ground aircraft when they land before you open the doors and anyone touches them, for the simple reason that they build up a lot of static electricity flying through. And it's the same principle. So grounding is the process of connecting ourselves with the ground, with the earth. Obviously, if you can do it outside, all the better. If you can do it with bare skin on good ground, even better. I'm wearing my boots because I've been tramping through the woods. But this connection can happen just by touch, just by handling. So you can see around me when I clear, you can probably see the marks on my arm. I'm handling wood, I'm handling stone, I'm handling earth. And that for me is grounding. And the science suggests that grounding as a process, as something that occurs within our bodies, has a direct effect on the flow of electrons and electrolytes within our body. And that actually is a countermeasure to inflammation. And in a lot of cases, internal inflammation, can cause all sorts of problems. Everything from headaches to arthritis to, some say, certain sort of chronic and terminal diseases. But for me, there's a more practical, a more obvious reason, and that's because how it makes me feel after I've been grounded. For me, grounding covers three things. Connectivity, which I've already talked about, where I feel connected to the ground, to the earth. And that for me is, ultimately, we've only been living the lives that we've been living culturally, in terms of the things that we use and how we live and where we live and what we do, for probably only the best part of, I wouldn't even say 1,000 years. Prior to that, we lived a far more external life. We worked on the land. We worked in the woods. We worked with our hands. We lived without insulators like plastics and rubbers. So I think there's a part of me which I always feel is connecting back with who I am as a human being, as a mammal, as a creature of the earth. There's also what I sometimes kind of like refer to as its coherence. there is an alignment that I get between my body and my mind. And I think that comes from the fact that when the energy flowing through us, the electromagnetic energy flowing through us, is flowing cleanly and clearly and not obstructed, and when we feel connected, and when we give our minds space and our thinking space, and space I mean by focusing on practical things, on doing, by becoming very acutely aware of our bodies within space, within our surroundings, very aware of our surroundings. I'm still for a little, you can hear hopefully bird song, maybe the breeze, maybe even the crackling of the little fire that I've got going there. And that process of taking our awareness outside of our minds has an effect on our minds called coherence. The brainwave patterns in our minds as a result of this process become more aligned, more cohesive. They work as one, they're in sync, they're in tune. And when we have that, we get a stronger sense of clarity. Our minds are sharper, we are calmer. And so that coherence is as well as this connection is an important one. And finally, what I get from grounding is a sense of peace. And a sense that I'm actually living the life of a human being as opposed to constantly in my mind. So connection, connectivity, conductivity, being in contact with the ground and allowing the electromagnetics to flow through us. And that coherence that exists in our mind are all the things which I personally consider to be grounding. Now, as someone who meditates regularly, grounding is something that I can get a sensation of deliberately during the process of meditation. But you can combine the two. So meditation outside, in nature, where you are grounded, for me, and a lot of research and a lot of testimonials from meditators suggest that it speeds the process up. It makes it more effective. So what I'm going to do now is to just meditate. A meditation outside is just a process of silence and awareness. Becoming very aware of your surroundings, becoming very aware of your place in those surroundings and the sensations that are present. Like I can feel a slight chill in the air and I can feel that on my skin. I can hear the birds tweeting. And I'm not that far from the sea, so I can actually hear the crashing of the waves a little bit. And I can then bring my attention inside, close my eyes, and feel just what's going on for me. Feel my heartbeat. Feel the sense of my body against the stone. Notice the thoughts that are drifting in and out of my mind. Working on just being still. So, just a short chat about that. Hope you found it of value and of useful. So, thanks very much for spending time, and better head back to the rest of the world. Take care.